All right, Supreme Court has made it easier to claim reverse discrimination in employment. So if you think you were passed off because you're white or because you're heterosexual or whatever, you can now sue based on the anti-discrimination laws. Now, I don't believe there should be anti-discrimination laws on private business. Private business should be allowed to discriminate. But if you're going to have anti-discrimination laws, they have to be applied to everybody equally, and the Supreme Court has agreed with that. What is interesting about this decision is that it was unanimous. That is, even the leftist judges sided with the conservatives. Indeed, the decision was written by, I think, the most leftist of the judges, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who wrote that federal civil rights law draws no distinction between members of majority and minority groups. That is a revolution, this idea. I go on to quote her. By establishing the same protection for every individual, she highlights individual, without regard to that individual's membership in a minority or majority group, Congress left no room for courts to impose special requirements on majority group plaintiffs alone. I mean, I think this is, again, huge. It's just more movement towards the dismantling of DEI, of woke, and what we really need is the Supreme Court to rule that section of the Civil Rights Act that bans private companies from discriminating is unconstitutional, and that private individuals on their private property should have every right to discriminate, and then all this goes away. But again, if you're going to have anti-discrimination laws, then they should apply to everybody. Now, this was, the court ruled in an appeal of Marlene Ames, who claimed to have been demoted because she was not gay. She was heterosexual. I don't know how she proved that. Clarence Thomas noted a separate opinion, to quote that, some of the country's largest and most prestigious employers have overtly discriminated against those that deem members of so-called majority groups. They deem members of so-called majority groups. Thomas was joined by Gorsuch, cited a brief filed by America First Legal, a conservative group funded by Stephen Miller. Oh my God, Stephen Miller is horrible. To assert that, quote, American employers have long been obsessed with diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and affirmative action plans. I mean, this basically kills DEI. This basically kills DEI. Because Trump was getting rid of it in the public sector, but this is not killing it in the private sector. If you can't discriminate against the majority groups, then you can't achieve DEI goals. And the fact that this was a majority, that this was a unanimous opinion, is huge. Now, I haven't read the opinion in its entirety. There might be caveats, there might be exemptions, there might be other things. But if this is the interpretation that you cannot discriminate, then it's the end of all DEI. And I was right a few years ago. Again, I told you so. I was right. Right again. That we reached peak woke a few years ago, and we're in the process of moving away from woke. I really do think that this is part of a broader phenomena where the left is being completely undone, and it's the far left. Its primary initiatives, are just not acceptable to the American people, and now the courts are starting to come around to this.